everyone, welcome to another episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. It's a collector's podcast. We have our channel here on YouTube, or you might be listening to us on your favorite podcast app, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Please follow us wherever you're listening. Click that subscribe button. You could also win a giveaway we're in the process of, a graded Luke Jedi vintage figure with a blue lightsaber, which makes a big difference, as you guys know. And we're going to be giving that away when we hit 5,000 subscribers. All you have to do is like this video, well, like any video. You have to subscribe to the channel, and there's a video right on the front page of our channel with the giveaway. You have to comment on that video and like the channel, and we will give that away at 5,000 subscribers. Let's bring the boys in now. John's here. What's up?
How's it going, Shane?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Brandon or Chris?
Let's go, Chris.
Chris. Nope.
Hey, thanks, guys. I would like to add that John's makeup company, Nelco, is just confirmed to seasons 4 and 5 of The Toys That Made Us on Netflix.
Right. Well, I'm excited about that.
That's actually true.
Okay. Well, I'm excited about that, but you know what show I'm more excited about?
What show? Oh, Rogue 5 Rundown with Chris and Brandon.
Rogue 5 Rundown with Chris and Brandon coming to you live! Yeah, so this is going to be a new series here on our YouTube channel.
Every Friday night.
Oh, every Friday night. Interesting.
Every Friday night, yep.
And here's one of the stars joining us, Brandon Alamo.
Are we sure it's Friday?
It's Friday.
I don't even know what day. I thought it was Monday, then it was Friday, and then it was
it's
Saturday.
Friday. YouTube
Friday.
says the best
Somebody
day to
better
air
let me know.
is Friday. It's Friday.
All right. Friday
Listen,
it is.
you got to subscribe to the channel, Brandon, and then you'll know.
Then you'll find out,
alerted.
Brandon. Yeah.
Hit that little bell icon, and you'll get it pop up right on
I'm
your
actually
phone.
not subscribed.
I mean,
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
he's probably not.
Round 5 Rundown, Friday nights. So, Chris, tell us a little bit about what that show's going to be.
So, real quick, the show is going to do a recap of the week prior in sales. Everyone always wants to know about prices and where the market's at.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to air on Friday. It will be the week prior of what we sold, what we all sold for that week. And we're going to do that show every week. It'll be a weekly show. And we'll just go over, figures and the prices and where they're at compared to eBay maybe and other groups and stuff like that. So, and just in general, what items have hit the page. Some are cool, some are not. Some are like the regular, everyday ones. And
Yeah.
so,
All right.
I mean, I think it's going to be a good way to attract more people and get more Patreons on. So,
Yeah.
We're going to have so many more subs because of this show.
because what do you get when you're a Patreon member from Rogue 5?
Early access.
Early. So early. So early.
Right.
Early.
So,
Yeah. I mean, to be serious though, if you like what we're doing and you can support the show, you can head on over to Patreon. The link is down below in the description, and you're going to get early access to all the videos that we put out. You're going to get a first view of all the collections that come in, that items will be posted from on Rogue 5 Toys. So if you like something, you can see close-ups of it. You can ask questions. You can get your financial affairs in order and be ready to type claim as soon as it goes up for sale. You'll be ready.
it's all about the show, guys. It's all about the show.
Right.
We have 4,400 real members, not basement dwellers that are fake keyboards. These are all real people that
No bots.
No bots that we want to expand further.
Right.
So
These
we're
are
doing it
people
organically.
Yeah, these are people who collect Pokemon cards. They play Magic the Gathering. They play World of Warcraft. They're in their parents' basement. These are real fans of the show.
Mm-hmm.
They also collect Star Wars, some of them.
Correct.
And all of us, we have something in common. We're all flaming nerds. We're extreme nerds.
Losers.
Mm-hmm. Big L.
All right, so let's jump into this topic. It's one that I think a lot of collectors will connect with or be interested in. Are hunters a threat to the collecting biosphere? Is that right, John?
Or ecosystem.
Ecosystem.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it could be.
What does that mean?
Huh?
What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, there is a collector's ecosystem, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have suppliers, you have buyers, you have sellers, you have resellers, all that sort of thing. And I think a lot of people see toy hunters. When I talk about toy hunters, I'm talking about people who go to Walmart and buy stuff, or GameStop and buy stuff, or Marshalls or Kohl's or
Ross.
whatever. When they have a bunch of buyouts, like what is it? Ross does that, Marshalls does that, Kohl's does that. They have buyouts, and then a lot of people go in there and they'll just buy everything, right? But I think that like the general hunter who's just hunting for himself or, hunting for fun, a lot of times is kind of looked down upon and cast into that same mold as those people who we've talked about before, like with scalpers. So like hunting in general, is it seen as like a threat to the toy hobby? Or
I could see people thinking that, for the toys that really do appeal to kids. And I think there's become a huge divide in the modern toy world over the last probably about 10 years. When you started to see the Marvel figures come out, the 6-inch Marvel figures, and then that was followed by, Star Wars Black Series, and there's a lot of figures that are of that ilk, of that quality, of that, the mold, the likenesses to the face. They're more expensive. They started at $20. They went to $25 plus, $27 now. Some of them, those are made really for collectors, not for kids to get as toys. They're certainly toys. They certainly can play with those, but they're targeting, our generation, who want that nostalgia and want to collect. So there's a divide there. There's a divide between, these $10, $12, $15 toys and, the $30 toys.
Yeah, because I'm not, these toys that are out right now, I'm not buying $20 plus action figures for my son to play with right now.
Right.
Like, I don't do that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go and buy him loose stuff that's $2 instead of stuff that's $20. Now, like the McFarlane line that John's collecting right now, like I can see buying that because it's $10. Because to me, that's not too expensive to buy and open up and play with. But like some of these Marvel Legends now for like $25, like who?
Yeah.
I think that you're aiming it for that's totally a toy collector, audience that you're aiming those figures for.
And then the hunter that goes out and buys one of those is often seen as somebody who is taking away from the children.
But
what I mean?
People need to realize that children overall are not collecting action figures anymore.
Yeah.
My kids play with action figures, but I can tell you right now, out of like cousins and people in the family and even friends, no one else's kids are playing with action figures. They come here and they're like, wow, you guys have so much toys. Mm-hmm. They go to their house and it's just a computer, an iPad, and the TV screen.
Yeah, it's
which
very
is sad.
Like, I mean, my kids,
swing set. That's it.
Yeah. My daughter was playing with Star Wars toys when she was growing up because I wanted her to play with. I didn't want her on the phone or on the iPad or whatever. I wanted her to use her imagination and play with action figures or dolls. She had what are those dolls from
Bratz?
The high school with like the ghoul girl,
Monster High.
Oh yeah,
Monster High. Yeah, she had the Monster High dolls, and so I wanted her to play with that stuff. I have action figures. There's action figures all over this house. The same thing Chris said. There's other kids that come over and they're like, "Oh my god, look at all these! They love playing with it." And I've been to their house. Their kids don't have any of that.
No, nothing. Nothing.
I have adults that come over to my house and they see 45-year-old action figures laying on the carpet down in the basement. They're like, "Oh my, is that the original blah blah blah?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I mean, it's the same feeling we had at some point in our lives. Like, "Oh my God, I had those as kids." Like, "Oh, I want." Like, they haven't seen that in 30 years, and to see it just laying on the floor like it should be, and my son's pile of Star Wars stuff, they're blown away. And I'm like, yeah, I wanted them to have the toys that I loved.
This happens all the time. Like, my kids will go to someone's house, whether it's their cousin, someone in the family, friends, and then they always say that they're bored. And my wife always says she always goes, "It's our kids. Our kids are weird. Why are they always bored? They don't want to stay out." And I go, "No, Lisa, it's because they don't have any toys there. They're going to these people's houses and there's no toys. They have a playroom, but inside the playroom there's no toys.
It's all sanitary.
It's all iPads and TVs and computers. No one is running around with toys. So every time they come here and people come over here, they love playing at the house, because my kids are running around with cars all day long, doing bam, 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 action figures, bam, bam, bam. That's all day long in my house. I am stepping on cars and figures every single day in my life.
You know how many Legos are imprinted on the bottom of my feet?
Well, just like we were talking about the lines that we just talked about, Marvel Legends and Star Wars, my son, I've told you guys, is huge into WWE now. And the figures that he, remember back when we were younger, they had the Bendham figures.
Yeah.
They had the Pillow Pals, which were great, but they had small figures that were stretchy. I mean, these were a couple dollars a piece. I mean, you could have a bunch of those, wrestle them, not a big deal. They don't really make figures like that anymore. They make the 6-inch figures, which, thank God, they have three different lines, actually. They have a basic line, which they've now renamed, because I think basic doesn't sound great, but they call them the main event line. And then there's another line of what are they called? There's a next level up where it comes with an extra pair of hands or 2 extra pairs of hands and like 3 other accessories. Those are much more expensive. So you're talking about a $20 figure and then a $35 figure. And now they came out with the Ultimate Edition, which comes with even more, and those are even more than $35. So
we just went over how there's a lot of kids not collecting action figures. So we can say that majority of kids are not collecting action figures. The kids that are collecting action figures, are they going and spending $20, $30 on a figure? No. So again, these toy companies are literally they're promoting the wrong stuff, because I'm not buying a $35 toy for my kid.
Well, I think that's part of the whole ecosystem thing, is because when collectors and hunters buy more expensive stuff, that gives the companies, more opportunities to build their smaller brands, to shore up their smaller brands.
So the toy companies now, what they're doing is, you'll see Marvel Legends figures for $25, and then right next to that, especially at Target, you'll see a $7 Spider-Man, right? Yeah. Or a $5 whatever, or a $10 2-pack or whatever, Like, so they're starting to do that now, where they're putting out the cheaper figures, because no one is going to spend $25 unless you're a collector that is going there. So, to answer your question, to me at least, I think toy companies are getting smarter, knowing, wait a second, we're losing who we should be selling toys to, which are the children, and we need to have cheaper toys. I mean, Hasbro did the same thing with the Star Wars line. They came out with those cheapy looking Mando figure and the Stormtrooper and the Luke Skywalker for like $10 at Walmart, right? You see them, the problem is that they're all peg warmers. There's just stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks. So are the children really playing with that stuff? I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not buying it for my son, because he's got plenty of those things already. He's got like 58 different Spider-Man already that I've bought him throughout the years. So I'm not going to buy him any more of the same ones. So, I mean, collectors, I think, are just going to collect what they want to collect. And if it's the high dollar figures, so be it. But you remember Toys R Us, before they closed, they used to have their own collector's corner aisle. don't know if you guys remember that, but
I don't.
It was years before I went into a Toys R Us. Since I left, since middle school, I guess was the last time I was in a Toys R Us. Well, then I had recently gone to a Toys R Us a few years ago before they closed, and my nephew was telling me about it. He's like, no, you got to go to the collector's aisle. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I walked into one. And I'm like, no kidding. There's a collector's aisle of high dollar action
I do remember
figures that was groomed for collectors to go in there and buy. And now Target's doing that because Target has their collector section near in the electronics area that has like the NECA figures and the pops and all the, weird stuff, that the plushies and all that stuff, because that's what all
Walmart does that too. Yeah.
Do they? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They have it by the video games, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the collector area.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, they're appealing to both now because they realize that they need to do it for the smaller kids. So.
Well, what's interesting for me is that it's kind of gone backwards. Like I don't buy the figures new for my son. I've been buying them open and loose. And the last batch that I got were in mint condition. They were absolutely on an adult's shelf in a collection. They were never played with. And, of course, he right off the bat is, suplexing everybody and smashing them together. And I'm just like, just do whatever you want to do, but make sure you take good care of them. Don't ruin them on purpose. Like at one point he started drawing on him with a red marker for blood. And I'm just like, listen, I get it. I get it. I did the same thing with Star Wars. I'd put them in clay and Play-Doh and stuff. And I said,
mud and dirt.
Trust me, you don't want to do that, because if you leave the marker, even though it's washable Crayola marker, I had to get like Goo Gone out to get it off. Like, I'm like, it will seep into the plastic and you won't get it off. It'll ruin the figure. And so he learned a little lesson. I got them all off and cleaned.
Shane's like cleaning it off. He's like, oh, we got to keep this mint.
I was like, play with them, but don't get them and then 2 days later ruin them with a marker right after you got them. But no, it worked backwards for me because I was able to benefit from a collector buying them at $23 a piece, $30 a piece, having them for a bunch of years. Some of these figures are 10 years old, and getting them for a couple dollars a piece. And now there's a kid that would do anything to get more of them, that loves playing with them.
Don't get me wrong. If I find a Marvel Legends figure Spider-Man for $2 or $3, I'm going to buy it and my son will play with it. But I'm not spending $25 for an action figure that he's going to play with for 5 minutes and then forget about it, throw it in the bottom of a toy bin, and then you never see it again, and it's missing all the accessories that it came with. Like, to me, that's a total waste of money for a child. Now, if he was older and was collecting and wanted to have his own collection of stuff to put up somewhere or whatever, then I could see that. But not for a child. Like, these are not children's toys. What they're coming out with.
No, of course not.
No, and there's also there's guys that either, I don't know, have a toy store or do toy sales at shows or at flea markets, and they do go in and I don't know if they're exactly scalpers, but they will go in and they will cherry pick some stuff. Maybe not buy 10 of the same thing, but they'll go in there, they'll buy some stuff, they'll buy stuff that kids that kids would want and play with to resell them. That affects what's available to kids on the shelves.
But then again, not a lot of the collectors are buying stuff that kids would buy. Like the toy resellers for toy shows and stuff like that. I mean, superpowers. Yeah, kids are going to buy superpowers figures. That's more likely that they would buy Superman and Batman and Robin and stuff like that. But if you go, everybody talks about how the superpowers line is garbage. I understand.
Does Marvel have a similar line, or have they had a similar line to that?
Not recently.
To that price point?
I think they're trying to with the new Spider-Man line. They've got the Spider-Man duels with. I think there's one with. I've seen Spider-Man with the Vulture, and then there's one where he's Spider-Man with the symbiote suit, and it's like they're $10 or whatever, and there's 2 figures. And the 3/4.
The retro collection that came out. I mean, that didn't really seem aimed at kids either, because it was old school style, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
It's
they're
nostalgia.
really awesome. I've got a ton of them, but
Yeah.
I mean, I love them. I love the artwork and stuff on it. But I think the point I was getting at was like, a lot of people do mark it up, but some people, you know, it's just like hunting. You know, people, you guys aren't. I don't know if anybody's ever hunted before. Any of you guys ever hunted before?
I definitely have for the Star Wars, the modern Star
No,
Wars.
like
When I was a kid.
Oh,
Way
hunting,
back.
hunting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh no, I don't like killing animals.
No.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing is, like, there's a huge controversy. Everybody's like,
I mean,
"Oh, they're just hunting
hunting
for sport."
people I've done, but
Do what?
animals.
Well, I know you've hunted people, but like, you know, people talk about hunting for sport and hunting for. No, every hunter that I know uses that to provide for his family. Right.
I know John hunts
We live
porta
in a
potties.
different area, huh?
John, you hunt porta potties. I know
Yeah, I
that.
hunt porta potties.
Yeah.
But
Porta
it's kinda
potties
like
and Walmarts. John's all over it.
all the hunters I know, they get their deer processed and they have deer jerky and deer sausage and they give it to friends, they give it to family, you know, people who have never had deer stew meat or whatever, you know. It's really good. Everybody's crinkling their nose up about it, but I mean, it's really good stuff. But it's kind of like the same with hunting. There are a lot of people who don't have a target near them.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it sounds, I'm not trying to sound altruistic or anything, but there are a lot of people who are like through eBay or people who shop at the vault, don't have a Target near them, don't have a Walmart near them. They're in secluded areas, and we don't mark ours up that much, you know, from what we've paid for it.
Chris doesn't
But
have
it's
any
available.
Walmarts near him.
But it's available, you know, where they're making it available for someone else.
Yeah.
I actually wish to God we didn't have any Walmarts or Targets by me. Wish.
The first season of this show, Chris says, we don't have a Walmart near us. And his brother goes, you have 5 Walmarts within 20 minutes of you.
And I've still never been to them since. I refuse to go.
Well, you know, John, the other thing is,
who goes to Walmart and Target? Who?
I go to Walmart very occasionally. Like, I haven't been there in probably a year.
What are you going for?
I used to go for toys. I used to go look at the toy section.
Besides the toys.
Yeah, and then
why are you going there?
They have really good chocolate chip cookies.
I would go there and get like cheap sweatpants for like to do stuff around the house, like painting and stuff, or like cheap T-shirts.
Kohl's.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I mean, they're cheap. They're even cheaper at Walmart. You can get like throwaway T-shirts at Walmart. But you know what else it comes into this equation is exclusives. So if you want to talk about somebody who's toy hunting, a lot of times real collectors, real toy hunters for themselves are hunting for exclusives. So that boils down to the toy companies. I mean, they made that dynamic by releasing figures only to a certain store and another figure to another store. I mean, they make you go and hunt around to get the figures. You can't get them anywhere. You can't get them in just anywhere is what I mean. You got to go to a specific place, and you may have to go to 6 Targets to find the exclusive, you know.
I mean, they only have these at Walmart, right? And GameStop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want these figures, you got to go to Walmart.
Yeah.
Never even seen them before in my life.
GameStop.
Yeah. And there's some figures that are just exclusive. I mean, and McFarlane's is, I love it. I love the idea that McFarlane has had where it's like Target will have these figures, Walmart will have these figures, GameStop will have these figures from different waves. Mm-hmm. It's a hunt. I mean, and that's the fun part about it, I think.
I still have these visions in my head as a kid when the Power of the Force 2 line was coming out in the mid-90s and literally showing up and calling Toys R Us the night before and the morning of and saying, are you releasing new figures today? Did they come in today? You know, when are they coming in? Oh, yes, we have them in the back. And me and my brother would show up literally hours in advance. Like, that's the hunt that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Going into like Targets and Walmarts, none of this stuff does it for me anymore. Like, it's just, it's over. It's over.
Not anymore, but like back then, you know, you had nothing to do.
But that's why I don't go to Walmart and Target. There's no reason for me to go. I order from Amazon.
Well, now it's a completely different landscape now. Back then, Amazon didn't exist. You know, you had to go. You had to go to brick and mortar stores to get your toys.
Correct.
Now you don't have to.
And that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But that takes the fun out of it if you don't go to these stores.
Of course it
Look,
does.
I don't go to these stores and hunt for modern toys. Modern toys don't do it for me anymore. Exclusives don't do it for me. I could care less about exclusives. I go hunting everywhere else but those retail stores because it's fun, because you never know what you're going to get. I know when I walk into a Walmart or a Target, I'm probably going to catch herpes before I catch anything else. Before I find anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right. Well, John, do you feel any better about your toy hunting after this discussion?
What do you mean? Do I feel any better about it?
Well, I feel like you were down about, that you're a toy hunter. You were nervous. Was anybody judging you? Were kids missing out on Batman because of you?
No, I mean, I just don't like I've never felt guilty or nervous or anything about it.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear the air with people that toy hunters are not all about all nefarious or whatever.
No.
John wants to clear the air to make sure that all 6-year-olds don't get mad at him for taking the last Batman on the hook.
Right. Don't get mad at him.
I'm not going for Batman. I'm looking for Black Manta.
Still?
Manta.
Well, I don't think I will ever find a Black Manta on the card.
You got a Black Manta on and off.
Well,
the
I
card.
do. Yeah, Jason Woods sent me one which was freaking amazing. But looking for one on the card, but
Well, I do, now that I've been shopping for wrestling figures, I do go to Amazon periodically because there's certain figures that go on sale, and they might be figures that are characters, wrestlers that are not in WWE, like they left a couple years ago, but my son's watching 15, 20 years worth of wrestling. He just skips around. So he sees somebody who was in WWE for 3 years. He becomes like a favorite, for a period of time. So he wants them. And if he's $7 brand new on Amazon, I'm in.
Yeah.
$20 figure for $7, I'm in.
Yeah.
So
and another thing is too, like with the McFarlane, the multiverse, DC multiverse, he has gold and platinum edition figures and stuff too. And they show up every once in a while at Walmart, so it's fun. It's just fun.
So to answer the question, John, you are not a threat to anyone's collecting ecosystem.
No, I don't think toy hunters are at all. No, I mean, I think there are some who are. I mean, it's just like with everything else. I think there are some people who are. They go in, they just snag everything.
We forgive you.
And I'm not that guy. Like, when I go to toy shows and stuff, and we set up at toy shows, everybody's like, I'll go get that at Walmart for $9.99 right now. I'm like, go ahead, buddy. I'm like, no, because you got them all probably. I'm like, no, I don't. I buy mine from McFarlane. The ones that I sell, I buy from vendors.
So you buy it from Todd. They're like, who's Todd?
Todd.
I bought from Todd.
I buy from Todd.
We're on a first name basis.
Yeah. It's just that, and that's, I've had a couple run-ins with people on Facebook Marketplace recently too, where it's like they see that I have a toy store, and we've talked about this before too, and they ghost me, and they don't want to sell. Are you a collector or are you a seller? Because I'll ask them a question about the figure or whatever, and then they'll come back at me and they'll say, are you a collector or a seller? What does it matter? You're selling the toy.
That happened a lot to me in the beginning when I was selling toys. They would love to ask the question and say, are you buying it for yourself or are you buying it to resell? And
what does it matter?
I would say, what does it matter? I get why you're asking, but it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, if I'm giving you the price that you want, who cares if I burn them, throw them off a cliff, light them up? That doesn't matter.
Yeah. And there are all kinds of toy hunters, I guess, is what I'm getting at too. Is some people do it for fun. Some people do it to try to make a huge profit off of some other people. And, I don't know.
People get too attached to their toys, and they want them to find a good home. You know what that makes me think of? It's like people who sell their house. Like, that's the number one thing I can think of where people want to be happy about who they chose to sell the house to. Like, a lot of people don't care, but there's a lot of people that are like, they'll take a little less money because they just feel better about that family having their house.
They seem like a nice family.
They're a nice couple.
But if you're emotionally attached to a toy, don't put it on Marketplace.
Don't sell it. Yeah. Who cares who ends up with your action figure?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of Therapy. Therapies Are Us.
Therapy with John.
Therapy with John. He's going to feel better about his exploits and knocking down children in the toy aisle at Target.
That's going to be a new show on Mondays. It's going to be called Therapy with John.
Oh, God. Here we go. Oh.
Well, you buy that from Todd. All right. Well, very good. I think this was a good topic. Let's hear what the folks who are watching and listening think. Hit us in the comments. Let us know how you feel about toy hunters. Are you a toy hunter? What's the difference to you between toy hunters and scalpers and resellers? And how does that affect the kids' toy market these days? Is there a big divide where there's room for everybody, or does it overlap? All right, folks. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel. You could win a giveaway when we hit 5,000 subscribers. And we will see you next time on 5 Idiots Talking Toys. Don't forget about Frog Fight Rundown with Chris and Brandon on Friday nights.
Oh, God.
Wait, how does that go with the music? Oh, it goes like this. Friday night. All right. There you go. That's an episode.